Hi, welcome to What to Flip. I'm your host, Victor Bolt. So, there's a lot going on right now. People are trying to open up their businesses like crazy. They say they're sinking. A lot of issues with how the government rolled out a lot of the stimulus package back in April to support people, and they're struggling. And so, consequently, it's getting down to I either lose my business or I don't care if you infect a bunch of people and they die, which are really bad choices when you think about it. But both of them are pretty severe consequences out there. So you can understand the frustration and the anger and the differences of opinion. And it does nothing but, again, another source of creating division in this country. So here's the deal. I'm not quite sure I understand um, what they're talking about in terms of modifying the payroll protection program, because the payroll protection program is really aimed at trying to get um, money into your account that will allow you to keep your employees on your payroll. Even though your business isn't open, they keep employees on your payroll. And as I understand the program, and I haven't delved into it deeply, but it is a program that allows you to put money in the payroll account, pay your employees the way you normally would, even though your business isn't open. And I think they had enough in there for 60 days, which would be April, May, until they could decide on another program to extend that or how they were going to do that. And that program would then allow you to keep um, people on your payroll and keep them off of unemployment. But there is also a section of the stimulus package that reimburses and enhances the state's unemployment by another $600. So if you wanted to insure employees, because actually that $600 plus the state unemployment might be more than what some of these people are paying their employees, particularly part-time employees. Uh, there's a lot of benefits to keeping the employees on the payroll. One, you don't have to rehire them when they come back. Two, they can come back fairly quickly to the job. Three, they don't lose their health care while they're not working. So there was a lot of benefits, and at least from the way it appears the bill's written, that I could see, and using the money just for that. And the government wanted to make sure it was used just for that. And what I think they're saying now is they want to open up the usage of that to say, hey, maybe we won't hire employees back, but we'll pay utilities and rent and other things. Uh, and I'm not quite sure everybody's defined what those other things are. So you got to be careful here that somebody isn't trying to sell their business through the government by simply having to go out of business and then keeping whatever money they put somewhere from this personal protection payroll program in the bank that they can use for themselves after the business is gone or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be looked at. I'm not saying everybody's doing that. I'm just saying, you know, uh, as that CARES package was put out, it appears that they loosened up a lot of the information and provided the SBA a lot of money to do small business loans. So you have two aspects of that. So let's go take a look at that really quick. Okay, I found just a brief explanation, enough for us to just talk about in this short video. The coronavirus, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, or CARES Act. Basically, the CARES Act established new financial assistance programs for small businesses of up to 500 employees, which is a large number of the small businesses, at least in my community of Brighton, Michigan. The new initiatives include the Payroll Protection Program, which we just talked about, uh, and SBA Express Bridge loans. I'm not quite sure what those are. I'm not a financial technical expert. And SBA debt relief and advances for economic injury disaster loan program. So those are three other loan programs that all these businesses ought to be looking at and applying for if they qualify under each of those programs. So as I kind of understand the CARES Act, I don't think it, now it may not be administered well, but it was written, I think, pretty well. And that is, first of all, there are separate financial programs. There's a personal protection, paycheck protection program that the employees, that we provide employers that actually they get relieved of it, becomes a grant. So they don't have to pay it back if they do what the loan says they need to do, and that's pay employees and keep them on the payroll. That you don't use that money for anything else, that you put it towards employees and you keep them on your payroll. That then relieves the state from the burden of dealing with unemployment. So if all businesses could receive that loan that are out of business right now, then they could keep their employees on the payroll. And that's one loan, and it's kind of separate from other things like utilities and rent and maintenance and upgrading, or not upgrading. I don't think they would be paying for an upgrading, but the maintenance of the business itself, the things you need to do to stay in business. That's, pay your taxes and up your, although those are deferred, I think, pay your rent, pay your utilities bill, maintain the facility, those kinds of things. The money you would need to make that kind of stuff happen. So that is separate from the personal or the paycheck protection program. So the idea of taking the paycheck protection program and saying that you need that to cover, expenses like utilities and lights and rent, it really doesn't make much sense to me. Why people are asking for that, I don't know. Maybe they're confusing it. Maybe they don't qualify for these other loans. That's a possibility. But there are separate solutions out there for separate problems. One is the problem of keeping employees employed, keeping them on health care, and the money associated with keeping the employee actually employed in the business for 60 days until we get either another package like this reissued for a longer period, or the virus is over and you're back in business, which doesn't seem to be going to happen real well. It's just trying to happen now. I just don't think people are comfortable enough to get out there and make a business viable. There's enough out there that are doing it, but or some out there, but not enough to make a business, I think, viable over the long term. I think you're going to see a lot of people go under, because then all of a sudden, when you start opening up, so to speak, then your paycheck protection program stops, and your SBA loan may continue on, but then you're taking your payroll out of those things where you're paying your rent, et cetera, et cetera. So, the idea of the paycheck protection program was to pay employees on your payroll, but keep them from coming to work and not open up your business so we can stay isolated and beat this virus. That's the general concept. The small business loans were designed, and the economic injury disaster program, all of these were designed to basically cover your other expenses, rent, utilities, and stuff you need to maintain your business. So you got you should be doing two separate things here, and we shouldn't confuse them. We shouldn't be, uh, creating a muckier payroll protection plan so you can take the money and kind of do whatever you want with it, because it's designed to keep people from coming back to work until you can safely open up your business. Um, and then when you can, that's when that money should stop and you start paying your payroll, you start paying your employees. So the idea of bringing half of them back to work in phases or whatever, that's something you could negotiate out. But if you're going to go, if you're going to open up, and then if people decide not to come, that's on you because you opened up too early. You didn't take into account what the vast majority of the public will be doing. So these are things that we want to make sure we don't change in such a way that it becomes easy to misuse these funds. And then people are still out of work and they're still on unemployment. And then the state's paying for that, and taxpayers are paying for that, etc. Okay, so those are the things that, and we may be paying for it anyway to keep the employees out of work, but there's a benefit to us for that, and that is we're not catching a deadly virus. So until they come up with a vaccine or something to solve the problem, and that doesn't seem to be anytime soon. So I just think we need to be careful, and I would encourage our Congress representatives to be careful and not just arbitrarily changing something. Now, if you're going to alter something, I probably wouldn't alter the Paycheck Protection Program. I'd probably try to figure out how to streamline the Small Business Association loans and grants if you want to offer grants through them. Those two, do it through that program. Keep that payroll protection program pretty pure so that we can keep people, being able to pay their rent, take care of them, and all that kind of stuff. In addition to that, they're getting a stimulus check too once a month, or not once a month, but they, could be if that comes up. That if you took that and the other, yes, and then businesses aren't dying with their loans. They can maintain what it takes to stay there. It's not fun to do, but as soon as the virus is over, the protection payment program goes away. Employees come back to work, and then you got to make a decision as to whether you're paying them the right amount of money to bring them back to work, because obviously they're to keep them home and protect people from spreading this virus was worth a certain amount. So that's their value for that. You bring back the work for less than that, then you're telling them they don't have any value for you as an employee compared to staying home and protecting against the virus. So your thank your wonderful president and Secretary of Treasury for that kind of information. But it is valid information. It's probably something that should be a wake up call to retail businesses and particularly restaurants who, in a lot of ways, underpay employees quite a bit. They rely on their tips that are non reported tips for taxes and things like that. So that whole dilemma of what we need to be paying people, what they're really worth out there. I mean, you should understand now what your employees are worth to be coming back to work and keeping your business solvent. So there's some of this that business people really need to get their arms around. One, don't request a change in that payroll protection program. That's not designed to take care of your rent and all of this other stuff that whatever that stuff might be. Maybe it's putting it in your own pocket, which is a fear that I would have a lot of business owners will try to do, is make themselves solve it at the expense of the business and close it and then leave the employees out in the water, so to speak. Take the boat and go. so so those are things that bother me about wanting to change things uh, in the payroll protection plan when you have the other small business loans and the disaster recovery loans and things like that that are out there that maybe we need to look at changing the qualification of those and streamlining the ability for banks to get the money and not be liable if you default on those and things like that. Uh, so that would streamline that process. If you can make changes in that small business side of it. Don't make it in a payroll protection plan, which is really designed to keep employees home and on your payroll and off unemployment and protecting us against the virus until such time as we have either a vaccine or we have some way of feeling comfortable about opening up and having enough business come into your business to stay solvent. So I think those plans are pretty good plans. The problem is now we want to try to maneuver them, and you have people like Chamber of Commerce and everybody pushing this, and it just really doesn't make a lot of sense to the average public out there. I don't think that you would be wanting to take this money, not take this money and pay your employees. And I think there was something like you had to spend all of the money in the first period of time. Now that might need to be looked at, but certainly having that money and it going to employees. Now, if you're not going to use the money, you should take it back and give it to somebody that is. But if you're going to use the money, the assumption would be you have 60 days of payroll, so to speak. That's payroll, taxes, and all the stuff associated with the payroll, health care, things like that, that you're paying your employee. So you request a loan that covers all of that for 60 days. When you get it, you put that money in the bank and you start paying people out of your payroll. They come off of unemployment because they will be shown as being unemployed. And then it's at a point after that 60 days or before that 60 days, if new stimulus hasn't been established to continue that over a longer period of time, then you got a decision then to fire those employees and put them on unemployment, shut your business down, or try to open up in a situation like we're doing now. But just to broaden how you can use the money out of that program seems to me a little ridiculous. It's asking for something that you can't control. The government doesn't have the ability to control it. States aren't going to control it. So, business can run rampant and do whatever they want with that money in that case, and that's not a good use of the money we're giving you as citizens of the country. So hopefully people get excited and not uh, or encourage your representatives to not support a lot of changes in that program. If you're going to do something, work it on the SBA side, which is a loan, and maybe put some grants in there if you use the money correctly. If you're going to put grants let it happen that way. That would be the right kind of thing to do is create some grants where people only use that money to pay their rent and pay the lights and keep the business intact, so to speak, with all the things that go around with that, at the end of a period of time after they opened up, you would forgive that loan. That would be a really nice thing to do to help the small business community. So if you had two, so you got separate programs. You got programs for employees, you got programs for the business. You shouldn't mix the two. You shouldn't mix the two. It's kind of like you don't want to mix your business with your personal bank account. That doesn't make sense. Okay. It's hard to understand where money goes when you start doing that. All right, this is Vic Vogel, and this is What the Flip. Just my thoughts about what you should do. I personally have contacted my representatives in the Senate and the House and told them I think they don't need to touch the Payroll Protection Act. They need to rework that small business side. I want the business people to have the money they need to do it. I just want the money to also benefit where they don't take that payroll protection plan money and then fire people and use it for something else and put those people on unemployment. That's not what it was designed to do. And so it should not be altered to that effect. All right. You have a great day. See you in the next session.
You can like my Facebook page, What the Flip, and follow me. And stay tuned for more broadcasts of this podcast, What the Flip. Until then, have a great day.